All right. The moment we've been waiting for this show, our expectations for the 2021 season, not just for NASCAR, but for Formula One and Indy as well. Been looking forward to this for a while. We'll get more into the predictions and what we expect each competitor to do and follow in later episodes. But right now, this is really just a, hey, what do you as a fan, or we as a fan, in our opinions on what the season might bring for NASCAR, Formula One, and Indy? And Preston, I'm going to leave it up to you. What are we going to start off with?
We'll go NASCAR first.
Okay, we're going to go NASCAR first. I'll throw it to you again. Me or you start?
I can start.
Okay, go ahead, man. Let's see what you got here for this, because I've been. This is a kind of good way. This is kind of a debate episode, but at the same time, hey, let's see what each other has to think about this. So,
yeah. So
hit the ground running.
My first one is it's an expectation, but it's I guess you could kind of say it's almost like a prediction at the same time, but it has to do with Hendrick Motorsports.
Okay.
And I expect the 5 car and that 5 team to come out and hit the ground running and make it look like they're not even going to miss
Larson.
a beat. Yep.
Yeah, man. I didn't even have Kyle Larson on the list.
I think this is, I wouldn't say it's a start over for him, but it's time to come back and prove himself more. You know,
right.
he did what he had to do to get back in, and you know, that's great and all, but focusing on the racing aspect of it, I really think this 5 team is going to do something this year. I expect Hendrick Motorsports to be firing on all cylinders at this point.
I would hope so, because you want to see that team do well. The 5 car has such a history with Hendrick Motorsports, mainly with Terry Labonte.
Yeah.
But then with Mark Martin as well.
Kyle
Casey
Busch.
Kane. Kyle Busch started in it. So it has a heck of a history there. And who knows, maybe it will exceed expectations. But they're still looking for a sponsor. They're not sponsored yet, and I think it's going to take that one sponsor to take a chance with Kyle Larson, given his history. Not a bad history. He made a mistake.
Yeah,
we've discussed that a lot on Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson. That escalated quickly like a year ago. But I think it's just going to be up to the sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Hendrick's going to pocket out all that money for that. It's just going to be a lot of money.
I don't think they will have a very tough time finding a sponsor. Somebody's going to want to jump on board there.
Right. Somebody's going to want to, but it just all depends on who wants to jump on board with Kyle Larson at that. But that's a very good one, man. Good way to start it off. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. All right. I went from 5 to 1.
Okay.
So this is my 5th expectation. NASCAR needs to find a way in 2021 to fill the stands. I understand there's still a pandemic going on. I understand that whole aspect. But once this whole thing settles down and the restrictions are lifted on gatherings and all that stuff, NASCAR, I think, needs to find a way to get fans back into the seats and do it fast. We got a new car coming out in 2022. We got a lot of new events coming up this year. And I think the sooner they can find a way, once all the restrictions up, and of course it's state by state, it just depends on where you go, can get those restrictions up, get fans back in the stands, get fans back camping, and enjoy not only that, the race, but the race weekend and everything and all the bells and whistles included with it. We talked about it with Connor Daly last episode, where he said if you just throw everybody out there and race, you take away 90% of the weekend.
Yep.
Practices, qualifying, the experience of being on a racetrack. And it's going to take, I think, a little bit more time with this COVID. But I think NASCAR needs to find a way to get those campgrounds filled and get fans back in the stands.
Well, they need to go back to, I mean, I don't want to say they need to go back completely to what they used to do, but I mean, we've seen it before. I mean, I've seen it before going to, they've taken away a decent amount of stuff over the weekend, but I'm talking like, you know, they switched up things before, like, you know, they used to have all the merchandise haulers.
Yep.
And then they wanted to go with like that big
Fanatics tent.
Yeah, the big Fanatics
which
tent.
Is not a bad thing, because Fanatics is a partner with the Unhinged Sports Network.
honestly, I wasn't really a big fan of that at first. But when I saw it in person, it wasn't that.
No, I wasn't a fan of that at all, because I liked the fact that you could go up and to, at the time, Dale Jr.'s hauler, and it was packed, and then you could go up to this and that. It wasn't a shopping experience; it was a racetrack experience.
Right.
And I don't think and NASCAR's gone away from that. They still have Fanatics tent, but it isn't like that. They still they have a Hendrick hauler now, a Penske. It's more teams instead of drivers now.
Yeah, when I went the last race, I can't remember the last race in person. I think it was Darlington, honestly, like 2 years ago, a year ago, I think it was.
Was it the Eric Jones one?
Yes, Eric Jones when he won.
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was the last one I got to even attend.
I don't
in
even
person,
know how you
but-
live with going to that long between races.
Yeah, I know, it's awful, but yeah, when I remembered growing, I mean, I was going to Darlington when they were having 2 races a year. We were going both races a year. My parents used to have like almost like season tickets, kind of,
Right.
you know.
It's
So we
something
were
that
always-
I'm probably going to do this year with the
Yeah.
doubleheader.
So we
Not
were
doubleheader, but for 2 races in a year.
yeah, 2 races. I'm glad they have that, by the way. So growing up, the whole experience was there was a ton of those merchandise haulers.
Right.
The last time I went, it was like you said, it's more of just teams instead of individual drivers now, and that takes away from the experience because you don't have a whole lot. It's honestly, when I went last time, it felt really bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because it's not only that NASCAR used to have, the pre-race show, like NASCAR race day in person.
Right.
A lot of people love to go to that. They wanted to be on TV.
Right.
The hosts interact with everybody during commercial breaks and whatnot. That's another race day experience right there. Not anymore, obviously, because now they just do it from a TV studio in North Carolina.
I think what I could say, instead of NASCAR needs to find a way to fill the stands, NASCAR needs to find a way to make fans come back to the racetrack.
Right.
And maybe broaden that a little. But I like what you said. I think I'm going to change that. But yeah, I mean, maybe lower the ticket prices, but I don't even think that's the issue because you could buy Darlington tickets for $60 for decent seats.
I bought Darlington tickets 3 years ago. We bought them for $15.
Right. So,
and you
I
can
mean,
almost see the entire track still.
Yeah. So I don't think as much as ticket prices as much as you just need to find, you need to make it enjoyable to go to the track, have the full race weekend, camping, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
But that's my number 5.
Okay.
So go ahead with your number 2.
Well, the number 2 kind of tacks onto what you were talking about, and I expect NASCAR to bring back practice this year.
Yeah.
And qualifying.
Oh,
let me don't forget that one. We've definitely missed out on that last year. I understand because of COVID and all that, but it really killed me thinking all season long that why isn't NASCAR practicing? Because they want to say it's because of COVID. When Formula One is going to different countries all over the place, and they're still holding all 3 practice sessions and qualifying and a race.
No, you're right. 100% right.
It's all 3-day weekend. And NASCAR's over here saying, nah, we can't do practice and qualifying. We're going to, wherever you are in the standings, we're going to draw. And like, it was always like the same people up front every single time.
No, it was. Yeah.
And it
100%.
It just felt recycled after so long. And
Yeah.
then they tried to change it up a couple of times where they said, 1 through 12 will draw from here and you get wherever 1 through 12 and then we'll go 13 through 24 and then draw from the standings there. And it's just like, come on, man.
No, you're 100%
Let's just do a
right.
full 1 through 40 and just everybody starts wherever you pick.
No.
But it was seemed like the same people were up front all the time. And
Yeah.
it
did.
just, I think NASCAR, I expect NASCAR to finally get it that like, hey, maybe we could bring practice back. I
Right.
don't know. I know some drivers would love to have practice.
Kyle Busch.
I mean, but but that's part of it. Like what you said, if we can get past most of this COVID stuff and we can allow fans there all weekend long, I can guarantee you that fans will want to be there for practice and qualifying.
I'm always there for practice and qualifying
Exactly.
if I can be. It's a fun time.
Yeah,
Very
so
fun time.
that's what I expect.
All right, I like
there.
that. That's a very good one. Number 4 for me is let drivers police themselves. And I'm going to go into, and this is what I mean by that. And I think everybody wants to see the old beating and banging of NASCAR. We want to see that. That's why we go to the racetrack, to see that good, awesome racing. But what I've seen a lot in the past few years is when drivers get out of the cars and they're mad at each other, they're going to go up to each other and talk to each other, maybe sometimes a little more aggressive than others. Mm-hmm. But then you always have team members, and I get it. You want to protect your driver. You have that team cohesion where you want to protect your driver. But I don't like that. Let the drivers either talk it out, or if they start throwing fists, like hockey rules. Nobody interferes. First one that hits the ground, fight's over.
Okay,
now, I'm not saying to go to the point of head injuries or anything like that. Don't hurt. You don't want to kill the guy. You want to keep his livelihood. It's kind of
Right.
like the code in hockey. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I mean, it just feels like in the past few years, it's like with the corporate, with the sponsors that the cars have, the many sponsors that the cars have, and all this money coming into it. Nobody wants to get their, hands dirty.
No.
Gone are the days of beating and banging, and I get it. The France family wants to protect NASCAR's image, and they want them to see it as a professional sport and not the wrestling sport. But I like that when drivers get together and fight. Fans,
it shows passion.
It shows passion. This year, I think it was Noah Gragson and who was it? Burden?
Ooh, I
think
remember.
it was Burden, one of the Burden brothers, who got into it after, I think, Kentucky or Kansas. I think it was one of those two. I think it was Kentucky. And Bob Podcrest gets on Twitter and says, I wonder how NASCAR will handle this because of the COVID violations. Yeah. And I said straight up, hey, who cares? I'm glad to see passion back in the Xfinity series, in which we got like 34 likes. We don't get a lot of likes on Twitter, but we got 34 likes on that, which means people want to see the passion back in NASCAR. That do whatever it takes to win, and if you lose, you're mad. And that's why I respect Kyle Busch. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like losing.
No.
He reminds me of Tony Stewart.
Right.
A little more rough around the edges, Tony Stewart. But remember Tony Stewart when he was mad at the world?
Yeah, I do.
Kyle Busch is, I think, hit that pinnacle, and now he's coming back down. He's still passionate. People don't like that. But he'll be appreciated once he retires.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I want to see drivers police themselves, no team members. I'm not saying fight, but if there is a fight, because it happens, let them fight. I want to see the passion back. Like you said, I want to see the passion back in the sport. I don't want them to think, oh, maybe Bass Pro Shop won't like me doing this. If I was the Bass Pro Shop owner and my driver isn't passionate like that, I might go to another driver who is passionate about that. That's my whole thing. And I think it's tough to tell people who put millions of dollars in their name and on there and on brand associated with that, because you put M&M's on there and then you got Kyle Busch flipping off the Texas officials of like in 2012. Yeah, that doesn't look good. But at the same time, hey, that's how he feels at the moment.
Yeah, it's
and
racing.
Guess what? I still eat M&M's. Mm-hmm. Who cares? And I like Kyle Busch. I might bash him sometimes, but I like him. And I like the passion he has. So your rebuttal on that, or your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. What something I found funny about that was when you said that Bob Proctor's talked about, I wonder what they're going to do about the COVID
that's
thing.
The first thing he talked about.
Well, here's the thing. He shouldn't have even said anything, because we all know that the drivers get tested before the weekend even starts. So everybody is clean there. Who cares if they're getting in each other's faces? It's because they want to show an image for the world, because the world thinks that social distancing is the way to go. And I understand. I'm not trying to get into that, but I'm just saying they get tested before the weekend. Come on, stop it. Stop trying to bring outside politics into it.
I mean, it's not politics. It's my guidelines. But
still,
at the same time, I mean, my goodness, Bob, shut up and enjoy what just happened out there.
Yeah, we're getting to see what we used to see. Heck, like that one time at Charlotte when Brad Keselowski was trying to wreck Denny Hamlin, and then he ran into the back of Tony Stewart on pit road, so Stewart backed into him, and then Keselowski was doing burnouts in the garage area, and then Matt Kenseth showed up to put him in a headlock, and it was like everybody was just loving it because it was just mass chaos everywhere.
Or at Richmond where Marcus Ambrose punched Ty Dillon in the face. Yeah, just punched him in the face.
Or, as we all remember, Texas, when Jeff Burton accidentally wrecked Jeff Gordon, and Gordon was walking down the backstretch, and I was like, oh, he's going to give him a stern talking to, and then he threw punches, and everybody was just like, what? But the fans loved it at the same time. They were like, yeah!
I guarantee you people after the race said, give me a Jeff Gordon hat. If that isn't good for it, oh, come on, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Let the drivers deal with it, and quit, and have the officials standing there kind of like the refs. If the fight's already going on, let it go on.
Yeah.
But if you could stop it, I mean, the line judges do it usually. Okay, stop, not yet.
Right.
It's usually on the face-off, but this isn't a hockey show. This is the racing show, and we'll get. I'm just saying. I want to see the passion back. I guess I could rephrase that as I want to see more passion back in the drivers.
Well, yeah, it also goes along with what putting people in the stands would probably say with that expectation, because like at Darlington years ago when Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick got into it, and Harvick was trying to chase him down after the race, and then he reached through the window and punched him. That was on the ticket for the next year. It was right there.
And Kyle Busch pushed the car.
Yeah, people were like,
my
I'm going to
gosh.
this race next year. And sure enough, when the tickets came out and were printed, boom, there it is. Kevin Harvick trying to get
That's right.
And I was just like, yes.
That's right. I think a lot of these, like you said, can intertwine with each other.
Right.
But yeah, that's my thought on that. Instead of let the drivers police themselves, I want to see the passion back in the drivers. I want to see passion in that burning desire, because there are thousands of more people who would give anything to be in their seat. Mm-hmm. And they got the dream job. They don't. There's not a lot is asked for them. Get in the car, go fast, turn left, sometimes right, and win. And give it all. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that, well, we'll find someone else who can. All right. Number 3 for you, Preston.
It kind of goes back to the whole Hendrick Motorsports thing, honestly.
Okay.
I have this one. It has to do with Chase Elliott.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect him to be competing for another championship again.
That's more of a prediction than it is an expectation. But I hear what you're saying. You expect Hendrick to come out and continue their dominance of the sport, let's say. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that.
So I didn't really have too many expectations from NASCAR, because I could drop a whole list of things, honestly.
Well, we're not critiquing them. Just expectations for this season.
So,
and I bet your Formula One list is a lot longer. Just going to say that.
It kind of has to do. Well, yeah, it's kind of like predictions / expectations.
Okay. Predictions is a later show, man. We'll burn up all of our off-season content like that. Okay. My number 3, and I think you'll appreciate this. My number 3 is, I hope the amount of road courses and Bristol dirt races is not an attempt to manufacture good racing from NASCAR. And here's my thing on this. We have now in this season 7 road courses scheduled, including the Daytona or the Busch Class at Daytona. I don't want to overload on road courses. I like the oval tracks. Road coursing, I've said it before on this show. At Watkins Glen, they went by and you watched it on a big screen. Then they came by again. You saw a few pit stops, and that was it. It was fun. It was a good experience, historic track, but it wasn't. I saw everything happening. I didn't see racing. I just saw the cars come by. Whatever. I do not want the dirt race to just be let's throw a steel cage in the ring and see what happens. Kind of like a wrestling analogy. We'll have to wait and see. If the road courses work out now, and I'll get more into this, great. If fans are in the stands because of that, great. I like that. If the Bristol dirt race is sold out, great. They're doing their job. But don't expect to repave or put dirt on Charlotte. Don't expect to put dirt on everything. Or Martinsville, let's say, or Richmond. I don't want this sim to try to manufacture good racing for the sake of, let's try this and see what will happen.
Right.
And that's my big worry about those things. Do I hope they will all succeed? Yeah. All except one. The Indianapolis road course. Why would they take away the oval for that and replace it with the Indianapolis road course? Again, I went there for the 2004 Formula One Grand Prix. Coming out of turn 11, turn 12, whatever it is, down the front stretch. That is all the race I saw. That is the whole race. Zoom. That was it.
Sounds like NASCAR's trying to get new fans.
Don't sacrifice. And Steve Phelps said it on the Dale Jr. download when he was on there. We sacrificed 10 fans for one new one. This is what I have a feeling they're doing. If they want to fill the seats, keep it simple. Maybe bring back short track racing.
Right.
Don't do road courses. And for goodness sake, do Bristol dirt once and say, we tried. That was it. I don't want to see that again.
What if it is successful enough that they say he will do it again?
I don't know. I want to go there. I don't want it to fail. I've said it before in the show. I don't want it to fail. But at the same time, I don't want them to try to manufacture good racing or manufacture these events in order to try to attempt to make good racing. I want it organically. We've talked about that on the show before. We want organic, good racing. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to the passion. And that goes back to having fans in the stands, putting on a show. And I just don't think that's the way to do it. 7 road courses. I like 2. But that's just me.
I could do with 3. I could do with 3.
Okay, 3. Yeah, with usually it's Watkins, Sonoma, and the Roval.
Right.
And the Roval was great. That was a great innovation to try to something new.
It works because you can see most of the track.
Yeah, and that road course works. Now, I'm not saying make Texas into a road course. I'm not saying make Kansas into a road course. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Because I think what Charlotte has there is so unique and so special that, I mean, Daytona had it because of sports car racing and the 24 hours race and the Le Mans race and all that stuff. Le Mans race. I said Le Mans. But you can't do that to every track. And I just feel like they're trying to manufacture stuff. And I went to the first Roval. Loved it. It was perfect because it was just good racing at the end. Third place driver ended up winning. Mm-hmm. And it was just so great. Historical. I love the fact that I have an inaugural race on that ticket. It was there. But I don't want NASCAR doing that to every track and trying to oversaturate it with this type of racing when fans, I think, would rather see the Rockinghams come back and take a race from Texas and put it there. Stuff like that. Try to bring it back more south, but I get it. People, not all the NASCAR fans live in the South, but I'm rambling. Your thoughts
okay.
Your thoughts on that?
No, you hit it nail on the head. I don't know. It seems like too many road courses.
7.
It's just, I don't know. I get it. Like, it's cool to see that we're gonna have more road courses, so we get to see more. Maybe we can see some more skills out of some drivers, but I don't know. I mean, Chase Elliott has been dominating lately on road courses anyways.
If Chase Elliott wins all 7 road courses, I'm going to be extremely mad.
Yeah.
Now that's just far-fetched because there were a lot of good road course racers out there. But Chase Elliott, every time he goes to a road course now, he's loving it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that will happen in 2021 because just because you won the championship last year doesn't mean you won't win it this year. Well, we've seen Hendrick do it before. A lot with Jimmy Johnson. Just saying.
Well, it kind of brings me to another expectation that I just thought of, and I expect it's almost like wishful thinking at this point, but I expect not one driver to dominate almost completely the entire season. We saw it with 2 different drivers last year, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin,
and none of them won the championship.
Right. I'm expecting and hoping that it's a little bit more spread out this time around. We'll see, though.
Yeah, we will.
But that's what I'm expecting, and I guess you could say hoping at the same time. But
all right, I like that.
I guess I could probably use that for the next gen car as well.
That's a definite expectation. It's like I don't want to see one team dominate.
No,
I could say the same thing about Formula One and Mercedes not dominating, but
exactly.
All right, do you have any more?
I do not.
Okay, well, this is my number 2. And this is a big one for me because I've became a fan of the sport in 2001 and started following it more. And the more I followed it, the more I noticed this trend. And the more I don't like it. I don't want to see any more Cup drivers competing in Xfinity or truck races. And here's the reason why I say that. Well, actually, better yet, back in 2005, NASCAR on FX interviewed Terry Bradshaw, who at the time was an owner in NASCAR. And he had this to say about it, and he says it way better than I could. So I'm going to let Terry Bradshaw from 2005 tell you what I feel is more pertinent now than ever.
Terry, you and I were just talking. You have some strong feelings about these Cup guys coming over here and racing in the Busch Series.
Right. I you know what? If the way I look at it, and it's a long discussion here, and this is just, I'm just going to tip it off for you a little bit. It's not, as that number one, is that this is not a place for the Cup guys to be. This is basically the way I look at Busch racing, a training ground for the future stars of Cup. If the Cup guys do, in fact, though, want to come over to the Busch Series, which, by the way, Busch, Anheuser-Busch, but it's also, in my opinion, it's AAA racing. We're building teams, we're building owners, we're building drivers, we're building stars. If the Cup guys want to come over and race 35 races with us, then fine. If they just want to come over and grab some money and then get used to the track because of the impoundment issues, then I say no. I don't believe they ought to be getting our money. We've got young kids here. We've got teams that are out there trying to keep sponsors. I'm even racing a Cup guy in my series because my sponsor is tired of seeing the Cup guys up front. I'm being forced as an owner to do things that I don't want to do. That was not my intention. But we need to keep our points and we need to keep our money. And if they want to race all 35, that's a whole different story.
Now, after that happened, and that was 2005, mind you. After that happened, yeah, drivers who participate, Cup drivers who participate in Cup and Xfinity or Truck and Xfinity races don't get points. However, Kyle Busch going down to the Truck Series, winning stage 1, stage 2, and then winning the race takes away, 63 points away from a driver? Because they don't count that.
Yeah, if he wins a stage, he doesn't get the 10 points, but the second place still gets 9. Yeah.
And Terry brings up a lot of good points. Because if I was a team owner in NASCAR, especially probably in the Truck or Xfinity Series, and they came down, and Cup drivers came down mainly, Keselowski's have done it, Logano's have done it, Kevin Harvick definitely has done it, Kyle Busch is a big one, and dominate, well, who are they focused on? They're focused on Kyle Busch dominating. If you're a Kyle Busch fan, you're loving it. I like Keselowski, but I don't want to see him racing the Xfinity Series. He's been there, done that. Mm-hmm. He's a Cup Series champion. Kyle Busch is a 2-time Cup Series champion. They don't need to do that. It's the equivalent of, who's the big name quarterback in football right now?
Well, Tom Brady's still kind
Tom
of
Brady. Okay,
name.
Tom Brady. Okay, that's the only one.
That's the only one that can come to mind at the moment.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so that's like Tom Brady going down to the University of Clemson or the University of South Carolina and just running circles around these guys. It's not fun. That's not what you pay for. You pay to watch major leaguers and pro players play pro ball, baseball, football, whatever. Or, okay, it's like Alexander Ovechkin going down to the Stingrays. That's even better. He would skate circles around those guys.
Yes, he
would. It would be horrible. Mm-hmm. It would be no fun to watch. Even if you were a Stingrays fan, you'd probably love it at first, but then this is ridiculous. I want to see players develop. Like Terry said, this is a developmental league. This is the AAA, talking Xfinity, of the Cup Series. These are the future stars. Names are made here.
Right.
No, they're not. Kyle Busch comes here and dominates it. And whatever. But then, on top of that, after Terry gave that spiel, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, and Darrell Waltrip, thank you, had this rebuttal to it. And I want you to hear it because there are some things I agree with and some things I don't. But this is what they had to say after Terry Bradshaw gave his spiel about that.
But I am sympathetic for Terry. I totally understand, and I do agree that Cup guys should not get Busch points. They should not get any points. It should be whoever's in the Busch Series, whoever finishes in the order, they get the points. The money thing, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. And also, the fans come to see a good race, and they come to see the Cup guys mix it up with the Busch guys. So we've had this argument for years. I don't really know what the solution is. I heard a lot of complaining there. What's the solution?
Well, I'm glad I heard Terry document he had a Nextel Cup driver driving one of his cars, because I'm sitting up here the whole time he's talking in the beginning. I'm going, wait a minute, Sterling Marlin's driving one of your cars. But I've never heard a lot of the Busch Series drivers complain about those guys, because I agree with Jamie McMurray. What a better way to learn the sport than be out there racing with the best. And let's face it, it's a business. And you know what? We're going to have more viewers. We're going to have more people in the stands when the Nextel Cup guys are here. But the month of June, it's standalone Busch races. These guys will get to race amongst each other by themselves.
And that wasn't a driver complaining.
No, right. It was the owner. Well, it's not like it used to be, where the promoters needed some Cup drivers in the field to ensure a good crowd. Those days are past. This series stands very well on its own with its own regulars. But the Busch drivers will tell you, if you beat the Cup guys, you've beaten the best. And what they forget to add on to the end is, when I beat them, then I can get a Cup ride. And that's really what they want. And as for the money, just to clarify, there are some of the Busch Series car owner plans that last time I got to see the rule book, the Cup drivers weren't eligible for some of that money.
Out of everybody, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, who I've watched from day one until Darrell Waltrip retired a couple of years ago. Mike Joy still does it. I agree with Mike Joy. The Xfinity Series can stand on its own. The Truck Series can stand on its own. That goes back to reasons 3, 4, And 5 that I have, let the drivers be passionate about it. And that will lead to seats being filled for the Xfinity and truck races and no gimmicks. You don't need to bring Kyle Busch in and say, hey, Kyle Busch is racing the truck race. Oh, I'll go watch it now. If you're a fan of NASCAR or any sport, you could go to a Formula 1 race. You won't see Lewis Hamilton race Formula 2.
No.
And even if he did, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You don't need to do that. And that should be number 1 for me, but that is my number 2 expectation. I don't want to see that. And my solution is simple. No 5 race limit, no 10 race limit, no race limits. If you're in the Cup Series competing full-time for Cup Series points, you will not race in lower series. You can own teams. Kyle Busch Motorsports has a truck team. Joe Gibbs has Xfinity teams, which are, pretty much pipelines to his Cup Series teams. But no, you do not need Cup drivers bringing in fans and help that series out. Mm-hmm. And if you do, again, let the drivers be passionate. No more Bob Crockraft saying, oh, I think it's COVID policy to not have these drivers show passion. Yeah, whatever. And fill the stands without gimmicks and manufacturing the race. That's what I have to say about that. Preston.
Well, I understand that I asked the question before on a local radio station afternoon drive on the sports channel. They were talking about NASCAR, and I said, I'm tired of seeing Kyle Busch racing in the Xfinity Series, and, it comes down to sponsorship. Sponsors like to see their drivers sometimes come down and race in lower series, and yeah, that's a whole nother thing, and I understand that too. I kind of agree with you. I would rather them just not in general. If they did, like you said, if Kyle Busch Racing Truck Series takes away points, if he wins the stage, the second place driver only gets 9 points. Well, if that's the case, if they're going to race, the second place driver should get 10 points.
No. You keep the points out as it is and not let Kyle Busch race.
Well, I'm saying that too, but I'm saying if they are going to let him, they need to change the points then to let those people earn what they deserve.
Right.
But it's...
Well, I see your point, but I don't agree.
But I understand what you're saying, and I get it too. They don't need to be racing there. Those series need to be making their own names. Just like I sit here and say, most of the time, I enjoy watching the Truck Series more than I do the Cup Series. If you let these series do what they need to do on their own and not have other people coming up and down, they will get fans. Like I said, I like to watch the Truck Series more than I do the Cup Series sometimes.
And I'm not saying drivers going up is a bad thing. Brandon Poole raced in the Truck Series race at Daytona last year as well as the Cup Series race. Mm-hmm. I don't mind drivers going up. I mind drivers coming down.
Right. Like the Truck Series without Cup regulars, Kyle Busch, in quotations,
or even Chase
exciting.
Elliott. Or even Chase Elliott.
Yeah, it's exciting without those guys. I'm telling you.
It goes back to Atlanta this year, where Kevin Harvick put that bounty out for Kyle Busch. And Chase Elliott went out there and dominated and won the bounty.
Yeah.
It isn't fun. That's manufactured. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't do that. It's bogus to me, and I don't like it.
Like I said, like you said too, if we didn't have drivers in it, barring the whole money situation right now, those series could do wonders.
No, they could.
The Xfinity Series used to do wonders, even though they had Cup regulars in there, but still, that was then. But like I said, these series can do well on their own. I know they can. I love watching the Truck Series. Without Kyle Busch in it, fantastic. You get great racing, night racing half the time, because that's what a lot of Truck Series racing is. Come on. I know there are people that are passionate about... I know NASCAR fans would love... wouldn't it be cool if we got to a time in NASCAR where you had fans of just a Truck Series, and then they say, I don't like to watch the Cup Series. Boy, we could have interlocking. How about that? How cool would that be?
It would be like wrestling in Raw, SmackDown, and ECW back in the day.
So
again, don't manufacture it. Don't make it a wrestling event. That's my number 2. That's a big one for me. But my number 1 thing, and I think you and I could both agree on this, 2020, as bad as it was, bought NASCAR time to perfect the Gen 7 car. It really did. I didn't like seeing charters fold.
No.
Levine Family Racing was an awesome stable for Joe Gibbs. And let's all call a spade a spade. It was a Joe Gibbs team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Satellite. They could put in quotations satellite team.
They could say satellite team all they want.
Long.
It was Joe Gibbs Racing. I'd loved that. The delay of this, though sacrifice them, could be beneficial in the long run for NASCAR if they work out and fine tune the Gen 7 car. Make it the way the drivers want to race. Make it good. Aero package. The engineers do your thing. But this bought them the mulligan to make it better and make it right for 2020. And in that way, we can have races without dirt tracks, without gimmicks. Right. Go out there and race. And you will fill the stands and you will show the passion and you have drivers doing what drivers do. And that's not be a billboard and a walking commercial. That's being a race car driver. And that's what I think this is doing. This is the silver lining of 2020. The delay of the Gen 7 car, make it right for 2022 NASCAR. And that is my NASCAR expectation. Now we get into your realm. Formula One. I'm going to let you go first.
This is one of my big ones right here, and I expect, with what Red Bull has done now, I expect them to give Mercedes a challenge for this upcoming season. That's my number one thing. I am expecting that Mercedes is not going to be so dominant this year. Okay. Which is a very, very big expectation. I know it is. And if it happens like that and Mercedes does not dominate this year, I need to freaking play the lottery.
That's right.
Because, wow. Looking at it like this, Mercedes had 573 points in the Constructors' Championship. They ran away with the championship.
Oh, yeah.
Dominated.
Hands down ran away with it.
Red Bull had 319. That's way back there.
Yeah. That's not even in the same area code.
Right, exactly. So I expect Mercedes to not be so dominant this year. And it's wishful thinking, but next week I'll probably touch on it more because I saw something where they're changing some rules packages coming up for the new season, and it looks kind of interesting.
Right.
And I think it could change some things around.
We shall see. We shall see. My number 5 is this, and it's an expectation for a driver coming into Haas. Mick Schumacher. Will he do well in Haas in 2021? Now, Haas didn't have a stellar season this season. Something happened to them between 2019 and 2020 where they just flipped 180 and just went the wrong way. But is this good new blood coming in to Haas? Son of Michael Schumacher. Now, I'm not saying let's put this guy up against Michael Schumacher right now because it's very rare, unless you're a Chase Elliott and you join the best team in the NASCAR by far and going up to the top, to compare father and son. Dale Jr. didn't live up to Dale Earnhardt's expectations. Kyle Petty didn't live up to Richard Petty's expectations. I think I'm looking out for this Mick Schumacher. I'm going to see what he's going to do in 2021 because it's going to be interesting to see. And yeah, he's in a Haas, but we shall see.
I mean, but hey, new blood at Haas could really turn. Maybe the team turns around.
Hopefully,
maybe the whole team is feeling rejuvenated now. I'm not saying that Grosjean or Magnussen was awful, but maybe 2 new drivers, maybe they can get some life in there. Who knows?
Maybe you're right. All right, next one for you.
I'm going with a driver here.
Okay. Sergio
Perez, and I'm expecting him to do a little bit better than when he did at Racing Point, now Aston Martin. It's the things that are going on with that whole thing right now. I expect him, he finished in the top 5 points. I expect him to get at least a win with Red Bull. I think this is his chance to really show. Now, Red Bull's kind of iffy there, and I'll get into that when we get down here to another one in a second, but Red Bull's a little iffy at the moment, but I'm expecting Sergio Perez to get a win. I expect him to prove that he is still a top driver because, like people, we didn't know if he was going to even get a ride for this upcoming year, and I guess some people probably started to cast him out at that point. I expect him to do well this year, a little bit better than what he did this year.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay, my next one is kind of going off of yours and the first one you mentioned about Mercedes. Does anybody have anything for Mercedes? And I'm not looking at Red Bull. I'm looking at Racing Point and McLaren. These guys have got some steam coming out of 2020 going into 2021. And I think with their positions in the Constructors' Championship and McLaren third, they couldn't get out of Q1 a few years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're third in the Constructors' Championship. They got Ricciardo coming on. I think McLaren or Racing Point with Vettel and that new blood goes after Mercedes, bypasses Red Bull, and does it. More of a prediction, but that's my expectation of these two teams and the way they ran in 2020. In the curveball everybody has thrown, they came up to the top and challenged Mercedes and Red Bull, the two dominant teams in Formula One right now. Watch out for McLaren and Racing Point, or at least I'm going to be watching out for McLaren and Racing Point next season.
I agree with you there. That was actually one of mine. I had McLaren there. I'm expecting McLaren to really, they upped their game this year, and I think I think they're ready to up their game coming up now, for sure.
I think they'll be a threat for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For Mercedes. All right, next one.
But to add on, after that,
okay,
this is something totally I just came up with not long ago. But I expect Formula One to get a full season, if not close enough full season. Because after talking about with Australia now, I still expect F1 to do the best they can to come up with a full-on schedule, even though the third or the fourth race they still didn't have a track for yet.
Yep.
Because they removed Vietnam from the schedule.
And that goes along with my third one. Will Formula One have a full race season? We already know Australia's most likely going to be postponed.
Yeah.
If not canceled entirely again. Netherlands. We were expecting to see that last year. It's been pushed back to this year. Vietnam, like you said, got taken off the schedule. I don't think we're going to see Vietnam for at least 2 more years, if not ever. Saudi Arabia's on there now. A lot of new tracks coming up. Will we see them all? I hope. If not, that would be disappointing for me. But will Formula One get a full schedule? We'll just have to wait and see on that. We're just still fluid in this whole thing. And it's up to the countries, the host countries for that. But I'd love to see them back in the United States.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them in Canada, Brazil, Monaco. That's a big one. I'd love to see that. And it would be disappointing for me if we don't.
Yeah, I would be highly disappointed as well.
All right. Well, since we ran kind of 2 for 1 there, kind of saying the same thing, here's my number 2 expectation. Will Ferrari and Red Bull do better in 2021? I want them to run with McLaren and Mercedes. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and go after Mercedes. All these teams going after Mercedes, and that's what everybody's going after. But now Red Bull's a falling star. We saw the gap. Not very many high points to talk about.
No.
In Red Bull's 2020 campaign. Ferrari is a lead brick sinking in the ocean, in my opinion. It's sinking. They got to figure something out there. But now with Ferrari, with Carlos Sainz, and Red Bull with Sergio Perez, is that the new blood they need? Is that the equivalent to Mick Schumacher coming in to Haas? Is that going to rejuvenate the team? Is that going to motivate the team? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I want them to do well, and I expect them to do well. Hence the reason why they're on my expectations list, because they're such a staple in Formula One right now. But be careful, because McLaren and Racing Point are coming. Mm-hmm. And they will dethrone you. And they will move you back. And I'd hate to see that with Ferrari and Red Bull. But I expect them to do well. But will they do better? I doubt it.
Yeah, that was one of my other expectations. It had to do with Ferrari. And I'm expecting this year Ferrari to turn things around. But the question I have, too, is if Ferrari doesn't really turn it around, will there be changes, not as drivers, but as the team in general? Do you think changes come after the season if things don't get turned around?
I think they need to change before the first Formula One race now, I guess, in Bahrain. Before the lights out in Bahrain, or before free practice 1. Mm-hmm. They need to change it now.
Okay.
Whatever they need to change it now. Even if it means getting rid of old Gunter Steiner. If that isn't working, we need to change. Something needs to change for both of those teams. Or that's for Haas, but, McLaren's doing great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, something needs to change. But number 1, do you have a number 1?
I do not.
Okay, well, I do. And it's kind of a guess. It's kind of a prediction. And I hate to do this on an expectation show, but I got to know. And I expect, even though I said this stuff all about Racing Point and McLaren, but I do expect Mercedes to continue their dominance. It's going to be tough to dethrone that one. And they're going after their 8th Constructors Championship. That's huge in Formula One. And I think they got too much steam. I don't think they can be beat.
I dare say you're not really far off on that one.
I don't think I am either. I think that's a good expectation for everybody. Are they going to continue? Yeah, probably.
So before we move on away from Formula One, anyways, I saw something last night, and apparently Lewis Hamilton still doesn't have a contract yet.
Ooh.
He's asking for too much right now.
Well, then I'm going to expect Lewis Hamilton to be re-signed with Mercedes because there's no way they're going to get rid of. Well, no. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave a little cliffhanger here. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have our expectation or our predictions show. We'll wait and see then, because I guarantee you throw anybody into that Mercedes seat. George Russell almost won Bahrain. You throw anybody in there, they're going to be competitive with that car.
Yeah,
Lewis Hamilton may be asking too much because he thinks he's the one driving the car and doing well. No, it's the car, dude.
Yeah, it was funny because I saw this meme page I'm a part of on Facebook, and they were talking about Lewis Hamilton not having a contract, and I was like, this has got to be like false or something. And sure enough, I went and looked it up, and apparently they have not come to terms with a contract yet, because apparently he's asking for a little too much right now. And I was like,
again,
wow.
A trained monkey could drive that car just like Lewis Hamilton does.
I was like, wow.
Humble yourself a little, Lewis. All right. So that was Formula One. Now we get into IndyCar. Now I got two expectations here. And I don't know if you have any. And if not, I'll speak for you because I think we have the same ones.
Yeah, I didn't really.
Okay. I want to see, for one, I expect Jimmy Johnson to be somewhat competitive. Jimmy Johnson's coming into this from NASCAR, going to bring over a lot of fans, a lot of publicity, a lot of coverage. I want to see him do well.
That's a good one.
And Jimmy Johnson's the only driver in my history of racing, watching it since 2001, that I followed since rookie season to retirement and seen him accomplish so much. 7-time champion. Going now to an IndyCar, which we talked about last week with Connor, very tough to drive, very tough to learn. And I want Jimmy Johnson to do well. I want him to succeed. I want to see him do well in there. I'll buy Jimmy Johnson IndyCar gear. I love watching Jimmy Johnson. He's one of my favorite drivers ever. And seeing him go there so only motivates me to watch the sport. And on top of that, I want to learn the sport more. I want to cover IndyCar racing on this show better for all the IndyCar fans out there. Because it is a fun sport to watch. It is a fun sport to be a part of as far as at the track. And I want to know it more. That's what I have on IndyCar, just those two things.
Yeah, you kind of do speak for both of us.
Right.
As far as, I do expect Jimmy Johnson to do well.
Right.
We'll see how he adapts to everything. But like you said, I definitely, the sport I need to look into more, which I've started to do.
Yep.
Because, like you said, I want to be able to cover that as well. And it's exciting to learn about a new sport in general.
Yeah,
like
it
a
is.
new form of racing.
Right.
So how cool would it be to cover NASCAR, Formula One, and IndyCar? That's just three different forms of racing.
That's
right there.
That's why we need an IndyCar guy. We're trying.
We're trying
very hard, but we don't necessarily need him. I think we do well, just you and I. But a third guy in here will make it more fun, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, you have anything else before we go on to our final thoughts here?
No, I don't think I do.
All right, man. Well, if you don't have anything else, we're going to go ahead and get into our final thoughts, but not before an ad read from Fanatics and a few show plugs from the Unhinged Sports Network. This is In the Marbles, and we'll be right back with our final thoughts.
Hey, race fans. I'm Preston from In the Marbles. Like what you just watched, be sure to hit the subscribe button below. And if you're looking for more content, you can find some videos right here to the left of me.